Hello and welcome back to the Almost Anything Goes podcast, where we explore, we debate, and do deep dives into almost any and everything under the sun. I am your host, Miranda, Sparkle Joy Coach in the flesh. Today we have an exciting episode lined up just for you all. And joining me, as you know, are our fantastic co-hosts. We have Stacey Shenanigan.
Woohoo! Happy to be here, guys. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. We have Marsé, rebellious advocate.
Hey, y'all.
I love how she just comes in so dainty. Although, don't let that fool you. And last but not least, we have Orvin, God's favorite.
Knocking them out with them. I'm always his favorite. You know it. I'm always his favorite.
Always his favorite, and so are we. Or we just gonna claim it anyway.
You should.
So, most of you have seen those reality TV shows where couples fall in love, they break up, and sometimes they even get married. So today's episode is Till Reality Do Us Part? Love, lies, and lasting love in reality TV. We're going to talk about how these relationships are portrayed, the impact of reality TV on real life relationships, and whether lasting love is possible in the reality world. Before we start, let me say this, if you know me. This is not my bag of tricks. I've done some brushing up on some reality TV. What really got me interested was The Golden Bachelor. It was able to hold my attention for maybe 2 episodes, maybe three episodes, but it was interesting. So let's go ahead and dive on in. To kick things off, let's talk about the allure of reality TV relationships. So, Stacey, why do you think people are so captivated by them?
Oh my gosh, come on. It's the drama, it's the glam, it's like all the clothes, the wealth. And also, did I say the drama? Because the drama, it's almost, you are afraid to admit it. It's like you can't stop watching it. You can't look away. And I think it's the avenue for people to just mindlessly be entertained and take a step away from their own problems and look into another world of problems that others may have. It gives them a different way to divert their focus, basically.
I like that. It's an escape. It's interesting you're saying it as it's an escape for some. Some people like drama. I'm curious, though, and this can be for anybody, where it goes past where reality people are escaping. Do they actually recognize that these really aren't real, most of the time, real world in general? Do they? Because sometimes I think that people forget reality TV is scripted. Even the people now, they tell you it's scripted, people. But I think people forget that.
Yeah.
Reality isn't always reality. It's the reality that you're living right at that moment that you're looking at. And I think people are just into it. And because, in addition to everything that Stacey said, it's because it gives them that moment to actually live it, and they aren't there. And they find the most prettiest people, the most beautiful people that you can find, with all of muscle and the no fat, and I take protein shakes in the morning people. Now, I'm not jealous enough, and I'm just saying that realistically, they find what is visually pleasing for you to tune in, and then they put them in the nicest house, and they give them a bunch of other pretty people to play with in this time frame, and say that we're going to make some love in it, and we're going to call it reality TV. And that's not the reality that the average person lives. So it's a moment of escape. It's like everybody has a thing that they're into to get away for a moment, and you watching other people wreak havoc in other people's lives, which is the drama. It's sometimes fun to watch because you're not going to do it. That's not how real life is for us. So
that's interesting that you say it that way, because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking Okay. But how much, again, do you all, and I know this is not for us. I know that you all know that this stuff is reality TV. You're able to put it in its appropriate box. But how is it people are missing it, though? Where is the missing? Because I still feel like there are people who really think that this is real. It's not. Or a lot of times it's not. I shouldn't say it's not. It's not. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think people just like to live in delusion a lot of time.
You just think people are just being delusional. They choose to be.
They choose to be. And I was going to say ignorance. A lot of people see ignorance as a really harsh term, even though it's not at all. It's
not.
just not knowing. So I would slice it into like half delusion, half ignorance, or half interest in finding out the truth. Because a lot of times people just don't want to know. They don't want to look it up. And they don't want to see, oh, is this actually real? Is it scripted? Is real life, not real life? So I think it's just the desire to, Stacey and Orvin have said, the desire to get away and not think about your own life going on right now.
It's for entertainment purposes, but people sometimes or oftentimes get caught up in the whole glam of it all, or just the bells and whistles. So they're not real. Not everybody has a house full of that. You can't bring a glam squad with you, but some people just cross the line with things. Too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing. Kind of.
And I also think that with them watching it, it also provides a temporary fantasy. So they, in reference to your question, I don't think they want to know. Like Marsé said, they don't want to know that this is not real. I want to believe for just this moment, even if it's for these next 10 weeks or however long the episodes last, that I am actually seeing this thing unfold, and this is how pretty people, let me stop hating. Yeah, pretty people actually have their relationships instead of just me, this normal everyday 9-to-5 person or whoever's watching it for that matter. Because it's something to do.
And what both of them just said made me think about how reading fantasy books and fiction books is really a lot like watching reality TV. Because a lot of people, I think of romance novels and everything like that. Like they see a romance novel and, oh, this is what love is supposed to be. But in reality, love is so much more complex than what is written in a book.
Even with what you're saying, I wonder, when people do read the book and read the romance novels, is it the fact that, okay, they know it's a book, they know it's romance novels, and so they're able to categorize it, even though they may say, oh, this is what love should be, or this is what I want it to be, but they also know it's in a book and not on TV. So is it the TV that kind of blurs the lines for people more, where they're thinking, oh, it's on TV and it must be true? I think sometimes people do think it's on TV, it must be true.
The visual aspect of it too plays into it. It's more visual, it's more tangible.
Okay.
Whereas in the book, it's you reading, but using somewhat of your own imagination. So when someone easily puts it all spelled out and laid out for you, it's more impactful, I would say.
Okay. Okay, y'all gonna hate me for what my thought process just ran through, because I was just like, wait a minute, before you go, God's advocate, I was like, oh, it sounds like doing it on TV, it makes it even lazier for you to even just watch it.
Here.
What are you gonna say, God's advocate?
That people want it to, because they're looking at it on TV, that they want it to be true. I think people get so wrapped up in these characters' lives, like there are other TV shows, not technically reality that I know of, that they get so invested in these characters that they start going on social media and online and becoming gangsters. And, oh, when I catch you and threatening their lives, because it's not that they know it's not, I think in their subconscious, if they know if it's real or not. They just want to believe that what I'm watching right now, what I'm putting in my eye gate, is actually happening at this very given moment. And they can't separate the fact from the fiction when they're watching, as old people used to call it, the boob tube. When they're watching the television box, I'm like, they just get lost in it. So it's like when you watch a reality, what they call reality TV, that they just get lost in the moment. And so they can't decipher or discern whether it's real or fake at that moment.
So if we go with that thought process, and again, recognizing for some people, they do understand this is reality TV scripted and it's not necessarily reality. So we know. So you all, I do understand. Some of you out here get it. It's purely recreational. You were just having a little, what is that, guilty pleasure fun? That kind of thing. What about for those other people? How do they start, or what's some of the things that they should watch out for when it goes past that and it gets more into maybe this is toxic if you really think that this is how relationships go? What will we say to those people? What are the things that they need to look out for?
I know for me, I used to watch a lot more reality TV. I don't really watch any now, but when I was in college, especially, the things that I was taking in was starting to reflect in person. So the reality shows I watched were not love-based, even though love happened. I would watch like MTV's The Challenge, where they just throw a whole bunch of different challenges and things like that. And their language, I would mirror back like my own life and things like that, because I was just so enthralled in it and so wrapped around it. And when I realized that, I just stopped watching it, because it's just, this is changing who I am in a way that's not authentic to me.
It's very interesting. So you're saying what you were watching, literally you were mimicking or parroting it, and you saw it, and that was your change point. So for, hello people, are you becoming what you're watching? And are you saying if there is an argument, that's really good, Marsé. Like if there's an argument, are you arguing more with your significant other? Are you sounding like the people that you are watching? And if so, is that really truly what you want to sound like? And I'm sure for some, they're going to be like, oh, I would name a name, but you all, I am really horrible. This is not my forte. However, if you want to sound like, and I'm going to just make up a name, Prince Adoja. If you want to sound like Prince Adoja, and hey, just know that's what you're sounding like. But for some, I guess people don't mind. And if they emulate, no, that's not the right word. If they idolize the person, whether you actually truly know them or not, and maybe that's the other conversation we have. Do you really know who you're idolizing?
Another aspect is keeping up with the Joneses, basically. If you're finding yourself, trying to incorporate these things into your life, and you have to take into consideration, who you're emulating. You're overspending, if you're over shopping, and if you're doing things that even look like these characters, like that's a sign that you may need to pull back a little bit there. Yeah.
I like that. So not even just the rebellious advocate said, but even what you're saying, Shenanigans Inc. is, hey, are you also doing things? Did you notice your closet? Do you have the same outfit as she got on or he got? Yeah. Did you overspend to even obtain that? Oh, they have this lamp. You want that lamp too? Okay. May need to start thinking about that. What you got to say? Looks like you chomping at the bits, God favorite.
It's a matter of difference. Reality TV is widespread. So if we're talking about loving relationships, sure, people are looking at it and they're like, I'm looking for love. I want to be loved just like they're loved. And they're falling into the trap, which they need to be more careful of, because what you're looking at is not completely factual. There may be some things there, and you're focusing on the lust factor. Because as I said before, it's very rare that there's an unattractive person in the love episodes. Even when we were, for those of us that watched it, was watching the Golden Bachelor, and we're watching the older folks, they weren't ugly older people. Like they were like in their 70s and 80s, and they were still attractive in that generation. So it's like they know what they're doing. So you have to be careful when you're a person on the outside looking in, that you don't follow the lust campaign, and you know that this is literally, I'm just watching TV for this moment, even if I am invested, and don't try to take it on as a personal aspect, because there's a very strong possibility that it's not going to go that way for you. And then I was like, in the same token, I'm like, depending on the reality that you look, when Marsé mentioned the reality that you're watching, Marsé mentioned there are other TV shows that are reality, and we can take on those characters very easily because they have the opportunity to be outspoken and say what they want to say on camera. And even though it may be scripted, part of it is what they're actually thinking, or what we may be thinking when we're in those situations. So we got to be real careful not to take it on and think that we go out in the street, we're going to talk to Becky like that, and Becky ain't going to pop you back, because it's a possibility. that if you toss a glass on Jonathan, Jonathan is going to make sure that you never toss another glass in your life. So you got to be extremely, extremely careful when watching these reality TV shows.
I did not
No.
think you were going to say in your life. I just thought you were going to say you're never going to toss a glass at him again. But no, just in your life.
But that's true. That's true. Very, very, very good points. God's favorite. Listen, I did some digging, and I don't know if you're going to be surprised. I was a little bit surprised because I was expecting at least a little bit more. That ended up working. In the daggone Golden Bachelor. Really? They were married for 1.2 seconds? Okay? I'm just saying. They were married for, honestly, it was like 1.2 seconds. Okay. For you all out there who are curious, I found 5 couples that are still married. 5. Out of how many couples? 5. And that's Sean Lowe, Catherine, Catherine, y'all, The Bachelor, season 17. They're still married. They got married in 2014. They got 3 kids. I don't mess up these names because, again, this is not my forte. Trista, Ryan Stutter from The Bachelor season 1. They've been together since 2003. Now, as of the recording of this, now we wishing them all the best. We wishing them all the best. Stay strong, stay strong, stay strong.
Tomorrow we find out that they broke up.
Somebody watching this recording 2 months from now, they like, oh my gosh, they're not together anymore.
All right. Okay. We got 3 more couples. There's a Jamie Otis and Doug Henner they were from Married at First Sight season 1, and they've been married since 2014. They have 2 kids. We have Jade Roper and Tanner Tolbert from Bachelor in Paradise season 2. They were married in 2016 with 3 children. Boy, there's a theme of 2 and 3 children. We need to talk about that another time. I guess that's the going rate. 2 children, 3 children. Okay. We got Amber Lee and Ethan Diamond. They were from Are You the One? I don't even think I had heard of Are You the One. Had y'all heard of Are You the One? Oh,
I actually like that one. That's one that I enjoyed.
Wow. They were from season 1, and they've been together since 2014 and have 2 children. And so I was able, but come on, 5 couples? 5. I'm not saying that they're not. Maybe I could have missed a couple or 2. Let's even say we just added. Let's add 5 more. 10 couples. 10 from how many seasons of reality TV? 10, and I'm being generous. Let's just add 10 couples, 10 marriages who are still married. Really? What does that say?
Married.
I'm not surprised.
The camera. Imagine adding cameras to it.
It's that whole reality thing, that whole camera thing, which is also why we just need to be really super mindful.
They snatch away the fanciness. They snatch away the luxurious mansions and all of the paradise island beaches and fun. And then the real reality of life sets in. And when you're at home married, there is no beaches unless you travel to one. Them same people that had found love in them backyard pool mansions, that backyard pool in that mansion ain't at home when you get home in real life. And then you like, oh man, it ain't as fun as I thought it was. And then that's why the couples disperse. They out.
So you're saying the reality marriages exit the reality TV show into real reality, which is nothing like the reality TV show, and they don't last. Wow.
And a lot of people now who are on The Bachelor and all of these other love shows, unfortunately, a lot of them are doing it to get the fame.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for actual love, even though they might fall in love to whatever degree that is. At the end of the day, they just want more followers.
There's another reality. You got Candy Bird, Todd Tucker. They were a success story. The Married to Medicine crew. Now their success story, however, they've had a lot of challenges that we got to see unfold as much as they allow us to see unfold. But social media, the popularity when you're on a TV show all came into play in their situation. Really tough when there's a camera in your face 24/7.
And that's a great point that you brought up. Those people that you named, guess what their reality is in real life? The mansions in the pool, in the cars, and the Married to Medicine, and Candy was already rich and famous before she got on there. They went back to a lifestyle off camera that it was like, we can maintain this. So when you leave that, I'm not saying this is the only reason. I'm just saying this is a huge reason why a 20-something-year-old or a 30-something-year-old doesn't make it, because when you're on The Bachelor and you have all of these people chasing you, you're at this bachelor mansion, like you living an amazing lifestyle that a lot of us wish we could live. And then all of a sudden, we got back to real life, and you got to get a job, and you had kids, and you like life really smacks you in the face, and you're not driving a Bentley. A driver is not driving you in a Bentley car to the rose ceremony and whatever else. And no, not it. This is not what I signed up for. I'm like, I want the pool back. I want the mansion back. I want 15 people chasing me back. That's the reality that some of them live. I'm not saying me. I'm just saying that could be a concern.
I think that is a great point, and didn't necessarily look at that. It's what's your reality when you're meeting these people, and perhaps if your reality stays the same when you go home, you may be okay. But if your reality is a stark difference, then trouble is probably looming behind the curtain or when you get home. But that's good. Like, I just never thought of it that way, that their reality is totally different. You're right. They may not be at a pool. Or if they're like Marsé, I think Marsé, you were saying this, if they were chasing the fame, I think that does become difficult, because when you have two people in a relationship probably chasing fame, or even if you have one and the other is chasing love, those are two different chases. And yes, it looks good at the moment on TV, but it definitely will not look good. Can you imagine? You sitting there trying to say, baby, what we gonna have for breakfast? And your significant other's like, no, I don't have enough likes at the moment. What?
They're making no eggs. That's hilarious.
I can only imagine younger people, what are we having for breakfast? No, I can't have breakfast. I don't have the likes. I don't know.
They didn't have any statistics in there about farmer wants a wife. Like, I'm just curious, none of them, like, they knew what they were getting into. They ain't stay with the farmer. I'm just using that.
Good question.
Like, was they know, I don't know if it was Joe the Bachelor. I'm thinking of some old ones, like, that's outside of The Bachelor. Like, they knew that these were people's lifestyles. Like, they were rich or not rich, or they had this and had that, and they still didn't make it. That's I guess.
I didn't think about specifically looking for farmer wants, always farmer wants a wife. And I've never, honestly, I have never seen a complete episode of Farmer Wants a Wife. Let me see. I just pulled up something really quick. Farmer Wants a Wife. Dean and Tegan initially seemed strong, but they parted ways. That was from Who magazine. Actually, all this is from Who magazine. Farmer Tom and Sarah. This couple, they are still together, slow and steady. One no, and this is 2024 season. One no, one yes. Farmer Dustin and Sophia, they're still together. Sophia's planning on moving in with Dustin. Farmer Todd and Daisy, they moved in together and they're making future plans. It sounds like they're discussing marriage and children. So at least it sounds like for Farmer Wants a Wife, it sounds like it's a little bit more stable. Farmer Joe and Sarah.
More stable.
Well, Farmer Joe and Sarah, they continue to be together working through. So out of the 5 that pulled up, only one didn't make it. I mean, maybe that's because that definitely is about the Farmer Wants a Wife. However, they also didn't jump into marriage. They're still together working through it, which is maybe the smarter thing to do.
And then the Golden Bachelor, didn't they do the same thing? They technically divorced, but they decided to stay friends. And are they dating now?
I didn't think they were dating. They stayed friends only.
Only, okay.
That's what I could be wrong. So community, y'all can tell me if we're wrong. But no, I think they divorced and friends only.
Friends only? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But very interesting. Let's get ready to wrap us up. But before we wrap up, we always want to leave the audience with a few tips. So what are some things people should be looking for when they're thinking about marriage? And I'll just go ahead and jump in. I think you definitely need to look at your communication level. I think you need to know your communication style. I think you definitely need to know that, and your potential partners, especially if we were talking about marriage, you need to know their communication style. You need to know how they respond to difficult times, difficult conversations. How do you respond? And does that mesh well? And if it doesn't mesh well, how can you all get on a page? Because for me, it's really about communication. And so that would be a tip that I would say when you're thinking about marriage is knowing your communication style, knowing your partner's communication style. How are you all able to blend that together to be able to make that work? And do you need counseling? Because if you all can't communicate, I'm sorry, the marriage is just not, it's not going to last very long. So that would be my tip, communication. What would you all say?
Well, as someone who's not married and also not going to get married anytime soon, most likely, I definitely agree with communication. That's been the hardest thing in any relationship I've been in, is just the clear communication, because the way I communicate is very different than most people. So me being able to understand my partner, and then the partner also being able to understand me, and even to add on to that, growth, a mindset of growth, having a growth mindset of I want to be a better partner, or I want to be able to do more for you. I want to take care of your mental, your physical, your emotional, making sure that they're not just in it because you're pretty.
I like that. Not just in it because you're pretty. That's right. That's right. Because it goes so far beyond what your physical stature is. Yes, physicality is important, but it is not the only thing. Period. God's favorite, you want to share anything?
I call one of them the S and S factor. Who's the spender and who's the saver? You need to figure that out when you think about getting married, because one of them is there or both of them is there. If both of you be spenders, it's going to be a problem financially later on down the road. The second thing is you need to know if this is a desire for you, or if you're religious, is the other person willing to be religious or not religious at all? And when I say that, I mean a religion that you're practicing. I'm not saying that you got to be like, you go to church and this and that. No, I mean, if I'm spiritual, is the person that I want to be with, or I want to marry spiritual. It's another thing that you need to look into. And I always use the balance of scales, the pros and cons of the relationship I'm in, because these things may not change. Who you marry right today is possibly who you're going to get, or worse, later on in the future. There's potential for better, but that doesn't mean that the person's going to get better. So you scale balance of scales, pros and cons. And if this con is really heavy over here, get ghost and watch them flags and say this ain't for you and roll out. That's just my opinion on the things you should look out before getting married or wanting to get married.
Thank you for sharing that. We appreciate those thoughts, and definitely good nuggets to live by. And Shenanigans Inc., what would you say?
I would say I agree with all of you guys. You made it easy for me. I would just add in intention. So are you getting married because you're pressured to get married, or your friends are all married? Or are you getting married because you want to be married? Or are you getting married because you want the big wedding and then you're out? So I would just say the intentions of both of you. What is the game plan? What do you want to build together? And you both on the same page.
I love it. Intentionality. What's your why behind this? Make sure that is strong. I love it. I love it. Again, this has been yet another insightful discussion. I want to thank you, Shenanigans Inc., God's favorite, the Rebel Advocate, for your amazing, amazing contributions. Listen, you all, we'd love to hear from you. What's your thoughts on reality TV relationships? Do you think they can last? Don't forget, follow us on social media. Join in on the conversation. You can find us at YouTube at AAGP Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this episode with family, with friends. We appreciate your support. That's it for today's episode of Almost Anything Goes podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another exciting topic. Until then, stay curious, keep exploring, And we'll talk to you next time.